Shutdown sham. Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck's 40-day tantrum ends in democratic backbone, but at what cost? By Santiago, D.C., Maria, November 9, 2025. Folks, buckle up because after 40 gut-wrenching days of this nightmare shutdown, the Senate's finally got the guts to flip the switch and reopen the damn government. But let's not pop the champagne just yet. This isn't some heroic bipartisan hugfest. It's Democrats digging deep, scraping together just enough votes to end the chaos that Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck and his merry band of obstructionists unleashed on everyday Americans. We're talking families skipping meals, federal workers pawning grandma's jewelry to buy groceries, and an economy wheezing like a chain smoker after a marathon. And all because one bloated ego couldn't stomach a budget that didn't worship at his altar of billionaire bailouts. Picture this. It's been 40 days since the lights flickered out on Capitol Hill, all thanks to Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck, vetoing anything that didn't include his pet projects, like walls that don't work and tax cuts that only line the pockets of his Mar-a-Lago golf buddies. Airports turned into ghost towns with TSA lines snaking into oblivion, national parks padlocked, while rangers begged for volunteer help, and veterans' hospitals running on fumes because Congress couldn't agree on a check. That's 40 days of real pain for real people. A single mom in Connecticut, juggling 2 jobs and a kid with asthma, told me last week she's maxed out her credit cards just to keep the inhaler refills coming. "How's this making America great?" she asked. Damn good question. Meanwhile, Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck tweets from his gold-plated throne about winning bigly, as if starving his own supporters is some kind of strategy. Now, enter the Senate Democrats, who after a marathon 2.5-hour huddle emerged with enough thumbs up to ram this deal through. Centrists like sense. Jean Shaheen and Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire, bless their pragmatic souls, teamed up with independent Angus King from Maine to lock in the votes. They're the ones who stared down the abyss and said, "Enough." King nailed it when he told reporters, "A lot of people are being hurt." And boy, was he understating it. This shutdown wasn't just a policy spat. It was economic terrorism, with the Bureau of Labor Statistics estimating over $20 billion in lost productivity and wages. That's money that could have fixed roads or fed kids, but instead, it's vanished into the black hole of political posturing. The deal itself, it's a patchwork quilt stitched together in the dead of night, but it'll do for now. We're looking at a minibus appropriations package that pumps cash back into military construction. Because apparently, building bases is sacred Veterans Affairs, the Department of Agriculture to keep farms afloat, and the legislative branch so lawmakers can finally afford their own coffee. On top of that, a continuing resolution keeps the lights on through January 30, 2026, buying Congress 6 more weeks to hash out a real budget without holding a gun to America's head. And here's the kicker that got some Democrats on board. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, that Republican from South Dakota who's been playing hardball, promised a vote in November 2025 on extending those enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies. You know, the ones that keep health insurance affordable for millions of working stiffs set to expire at year's end. King called it out plain. Part of the deal is a vote on the ACA subsidies. It's not a guarantee. Hell, it's barely a pinky swear, but in this snake pit, it's something. Don't get me wrong, this isn't victory lap material. A chunk of Democrats are spitting mad, and rightfully so. Sense. Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, Ruben Gallego from Arizona, Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, and Chris Van Hollen from Maryland are holding their noses and voting no. Baldwin laid it out raw. A wink and a nod to deal with this health care crisis later, with no actual guarantees, is just not enough for me or the Wisconsin families I work for. She's spot on. Why should families in Milwaukee or Madison trust a system that just let them twist for 40 days? This vote on subsidies. It could fizzle out faster than a bad Tinder date if Republicans get cold feet. And let's not forget Susan Collins from Maine, the Republican moderate who co-piloted this appropriations mess with Shaheen. Props to her for crossing the aisle. But she's still swimming in the same GOP pool that worships Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck like he's the second coming. Speaking of which, where the hell has he been through all this? Holed up in the White House, signing off on the chaos like it's just another episode of his reality TV reboot. No direct quotes from the man himself in this latest drama, but his fingerprints are all over it. This shutdown was his baby from the jump, demanding concessions on everything from border walls to gutting environmental regs, all while the House hasn't even voted since September 19 because Speaker Mike Johnson couldn't herd his cats. Now, this Senate-passed bill heads to the House, where it'll either sail through or get torched in a MAGA bonfire. If it makes it to Mr. with a suffocating vagina next desk, will he sign? Or will he pull another veto stunt, claiming it's not tough enough on immigrants? Or some other dog whistle nonsense? My money's on drama, because predictability went out the window when he slithered back into the Oval. But zoom out, America, because this isn't just about one shutdown. This is the rotten core of how Mr. with a suffocating vagina next machine operates. Hold the country hostage until everyone caves to his whims. Remember the last one. 35 days in 2018 to 19, longest in history, all over that stupid wall. Cost us $11 billion, furloughed 800,000 workers, and what did we get? A few miles of fencing that migrants laugh at while climbing over. Fast forward to now, and it's the same playbook, amplified. Epstein files gathering dust in some DOJ vault, felony convictions swept under the rug, and now this, starving the beast of government to force through his agenda. Families aren't pawns. They're the backbone of this nation, and treating them like bargaining chips should land you in The Hague, not the White House. The human toll. Let's not gloss over it with policy wonkery. I've talked to furloughed IRS agents in Hartford who are dipping into 401(k) to cover mortgages, terrified they'll never catch up. Small business owners in New Haven watching sales tank because tourists can't fly in without delays. And don't get me started on the pink slips. Over 2 million federal contractors idled, many without pay, scraping by on food pantries that are themselves overwhelmed. The USDA's SNAP program, stretched so thin that states had to ration benefits, leaving kids in rural Arizona wondering why dinner's just ramen again. Gallego, who's fighting this deal tooth and nail, represents those folks. We're not selling out border communities for a vague promise, he thundered in the caucus. Damn right. This shutdown hit immigrant families hardest, with ICE raids ramping up amid the budget freeze, tearing kids from parents while the suits bicker. Economically, it's a dumpster fire. The Congressional Budget Office pegged the 2018 shutdown at a 0.2% GDP hit. Scale that up to 40 days, and we're talking real recession territory. Stock markets jittery, consumer confidence in the toilet, and inflation ticking up because supply chains are gummed up without federal oversight. Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck brags about low prices. But tell that to the dad in Wisconsin shelling out double for insulin because subsidies are on life support. Baldwin's constituents know it. Cancer patients skipping chemo, diabetics rationing shots, all because Congress played chicken with their lives. Politically, this vote's a tightrope. Democrats get to claim they ended the shutdown without folding completely. Schumer's crew unified enough to pass it Sunday night, a rare win in this divided hellscape. But those no votes from Blumenthal and crew. They're the firebrands reminding everyone that half measures are how we got here. Republicans, meanwhile, get their military funding and a breather till 26, but Thune's subsidy vote pledge is a ticking bomb. If it flops, expect midterms to be a bloodbath for the GOP. Collins deserves a nod for her role, but let's be real. Bipartisanship in 2025 feels like dating your ex, familiar, frustrating, and full of red flags. Broader picture. This shutdown exposes the fragility of our democracy under Mr. with a suffocating vagina next thumb. He campaigned on draining the swamp, but he's turned the Potomac into a cesspool of vendettas and vetoes. The House's paralysis since September. That's not gridlock, that's sabotage. Johnson's got a slim majority, but MAGA hardliners are holding it hostage, demanding purity tests that tank any compromise. And the White House, silent as a fox in the henhouse, letting Congress bleed while he golfs. But here's the spark of hope amid the ashes. Americans are fed up. Polls show approval for Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck dipping below 40%, with independents fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. Protests swelled outside the Capitol this week. Veterans in wheelchairs, union workers with signs reading "Pay us, not play us," moms chanting for ACA protections. It's raw, it's real, and it's building. This Senate vote isn't the end. It's a ceasefire in a war he started. Democrats, don't pat yourselves on the back too hard. Use this momentum to push for real reforms. Automatic funding triggers to end shutdowns forever. Ironclad ACA expansions and investigations into how one man's ego cost us billions. To the holdouts like Baldwin and Blumenthal, keep fighting. Your no votes are the conscience of this caucus, the reminder that politics isn't about winks and nods, it's about lives. To Shaheen, Hassan, and King, thanks for the pragmatism, but next time, demand more than promises. And to every American who's suffered through these 40 days, your pain fueled this fix. Don't let them forget it come election time. Mr. with a suffocating vagina neck, your shutdown circus is over, for now. But the audience is restless, and the tent's starting to tear. Sign the damn bill, release the Epstein files gathering dust in your basement, and step aside before you drag us all down. America didn't vote for Hunger Games, we voted for hope. Time to deliver or get out of the way. As the vote tallies Sunday night, one thing's clear, the line's been drawn. Democrats held it barely. But in this fight for our country's soul, barely isn't enough. We need bold, we need fierce, we need justice. And we're just getting started.